Over the past few years, dozens of high-ranking generals in China's People's Liberation Army have abruptly disappeared. Top commanders of the rocket force, defense ministers, and senior logistics officers have all been quietly removed from their posts and placed under arrest. The standard interpretation is that Xi Jinping is purging his political enemies to consolidate personal power. But the political purge is actually a symptom of a much larger structural teardown. Xi is systematically dismantling an obsolete army to build a modern one. When Xi took power, he inherited a military dominated by a specific faction, the Red Princelings, who enlisted during the Cultural Revolution. The Cultural Revolution was a decade-long period of political and social chaos in China, initiated by Mao Zedong. This specific cohort was widely known within the ranks for being arrogant, corrupt, and lacking any formal modern military education. On day one, Xi found himself attempting to build a high-tech fighting force, while the entire command structure was occupied by an old guard that had spent decades profiting from the existing, corrupt system. To understand how the military became so entrenched, we have to look back to the years following the Sino-Vietnamese War. Deng Xiaoping initiated a massive million-man cut to the army, aiming to phase out the old World War II-era commanders. But the massive student protests of 1989 forced Deng into a hasty deterrent strategy. He ended up retaining and elevating loyalists from the old 2nd Field Army faction, like veteran soldier Liu Huaqing, who joined the powerful Politburo Standing Committee. The problem metastasized in the 1990s. While leader Jiang Zemin pushed for some hardware modernization, he made a compromise, allowing unchecked corruption within the military ranks in exchange for absolute political loyalty to his hand-picked proxies. This lack of oversight reached its peak during the tenure of his successor, Hu Jintao, who was effectively just a titular chairman of the Central Military Commission, creating a massive power vacuum at the very top of the command structure. In that vacuum, military corruption became a systematic machine. Ranks and positions and lucrative logistical contracts were openly bought and sold by deeply entrenched cliques. By the start of the 2000s, the military was at a dead end. Routine administrative transfers and policy tweaks were powerless against this institutionalized network of patronage. When Xi Jinping evaluated the situation, he realized that standard structural reform was impossible. He needed a completely unconventional, aggressive approach to physically clear out the command tier. His solution was the anti-corruption campaign. This bypassed the traditional military hierarchy entirely, granting him nearly infinite executive authority to investigate anyone. The execution was ruthless. If a general was flagged with an issue, they were immediately funneled into closed military tribunals. There was no path for political survival. He applied this standard uniformly. She even sent 3 consecutive directors of the Central Military Commission General Office, his own inner circle of administrators, straight to military court. The anti-corruption drive functioned as a mechanical tool for personnel management, carving out the old command tier to force an immediate generational turnover. Stripping away these established bosses created an immense demographic vacuum at the top of the armed forces. This chart shows the dramatic shift in leadership demographics heading into the 21st Party Congress. You can see the average age of incoming system commanders plummeting by roughly 10 years compared to their predecessors, accompanied by a sharp spike in formal education levels. This new cohort has a distinctly different background. They are the first generation of purely post-Cultural Revolution military professionals, meaning they received formal, modern military education rather than advancing through political patronage. The purges successfully completed a forced metabolism of the military's leadership. An entire network of cronies was swapped out for a network of educated technocrats. The final hurdle to modernization was internal culture, specifically the reverence for veteran generals who had actual combat experience from the Sino-Vietnamese War. But the jungle combat experience of veterans like Zhang Yuxia does not translate to current operational needs. Zhang Yuxia is currently the first-ranked vice chairman of the Central Military Commission. Knowing how to lead an infantry charge with analog gear is disconnected from the requirements of a digital battlefield. The new reality of PLA doctrine relies on heavily integrated electronic operations. Modern engagements are controlled from digital command centers, resembling a high-tech control room far more than a muddy trench. The political purges and power vacuums are the headlines, but the concrete result is that China's first world-class, technologically integrated military has finally been assembled.